see that I didn't get to see was underground, the catacombs.
But that's not at Vatican City. That's somewhere else in Rome, I believe.
No, it's Vatican City. We didn't end up visiting because it was like 95,000 degrees.
Because we didn't care enough.
Well, anyways.
So, I think the way we should structure it is just go through chapter by chapter, like anxiety, attention deficit. Attention deficit is a big, good fucking chapter. Did you guys read that?
It was probably
it's the best one.
The best one, yeah.
Depression.
La dépression.
But I can relate to a lot of things this guy was saying in here, man. Like and I actually have a lot of examples of people. Yesterday I met with somebody. Her daughter has attention deficit disorder.
Is that what you just posted on Instagram?
No, it's not what I was supposed to.
No, I thought it was a quote from the book or a story from the book.
Hello, Rami speaking.
You might be more comfortable sitting here, but.
Good. How you doing, Jake? Yes.
Should we all have filters like this?
Yes, I do. Yes. She sold her land. She had a land that she sold, and that's where the down payment is coming from. Now, she might also get some more money once her ex-husband buys her out of the house, which is happening in the next couple of weeks. But right now, the money that we're using is the money from the land.
Elle va juste pas rentrer.
She'll do the broadcast for EXT with us.
Yes. It's just that might not, like, she's going to be removed from the property. I'm not sure if it happens immediately after she's removed from the property or it takes a little bit. It goes into a trust account before she gets it. So, but it's very likely to come from the sale of the property. The property, yes, it closed 2 days ago. Sure. Yep.
Cool. Let's get this show on the road, gentlemen.
Yes. Sorry, Jake, give me 1 second.
Live, sir?
So I think we should have a rule that phones are off for the book club.
Am I allowed to
play with
unicorn?
To play with your hair, for sure.
I have a unicorn. Well, I'm at 68 live, sir.
I just checked. So we're streaming here in this app, and then my feed is up there.
What's all that?
That's my dashboard.
So you need an app?
So right now we had one viewer listening to us.
Cool.
Hello, viewer.
Can you see who the viewer is?
Yeah, after the stream. I'm very new. Calius.
Cool. Well, we can start.
We'll wait for Rami.
We can edit it out.
No. That's the way it is.
Can't edit?
It's a raw. I could do this.
What was that?
I'm just yeah. So we're just alternating from this view to that view, and if we want now, we can sort of add a video. We could stream like a YouTube video in this corner, or do you like this layout?
I like that with the book. Yeah, pretty cool.
That's cool. And then
why is there a mustache in the corner?
the Lorax. It's the Lorax.
I had to take this call because we have to wait financing for that.
It's all good, man. We're very dedicated to our jobs. I get it.
Very important.
Bon, ben c'est parti les amis.
Are we live?
We are live on Twitch for the first time.
Twitch.
So
Bonjour.
welcome to Not Your Typical Book Club, to the Twitch community. We're going to try to stream here.
Is this recorded as well?
Yes.
It's my first time on Twitch.
First time.
What is Twitch all about?
So Twitch is mainly a gaming community. So a lot of people will stream their games and their commentary, and people can listen in while you play, you know, World of Warcraft or StarCraft or Zelda, whatever.
Play with yourself.
That has happened accidentally in the past.
Really?
Yeah, there was one dude that was pleasuring himself,
No.
and he gained a shit ton of followers after that. So I don't know.
You didn't know the camera was on?
Yeah.
Was he a realtor?
No. So yeah, that did happen.
Leads that way.
So I came to Twitch knowing it was a gaming community, but when you're on the website, there's a lot of girls that are just chatting.
It happened to me yesterday. I was
And
trying
they-
to show my girlfriend what Twitch was all about.
Yeah.
Or a little bit. And then first thing that popped up was just a girl in a bikini dancing. I was like, what game is this? Where can I buy it?
So there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a new website I'm trying out. I'm gonna put out the coaching content there, and if you guys want to, we can continue streaming the book club.
Why not?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, welcome officially to week number 2 of our 3-week review of Spark, a book written by John J. Ratey.
Ratey.
Dr. John J.
MD,
Ratey.
and a book about the effects of physical activity on your psychological, mental well-being. So this week we read 3 chapters. Is that correct?
Yep. No, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 4 chapters.
So chapter on anxiety, depression, addiction,
And
and
ADHD. Attention deficit
Yes.
disorder. Yeah.
What's the age for?
Attention deficit hyper disorder. Hyperactive disorder, yeah.
so who thinks they have ADHD in this room?
100%.
I don't know if there's a lot of people that don't have it.
That's the thing. Yeah.
After reading this book, it confirms that a lot of people have some ADHD in them. 100%, man.
Yeah.
Especially in the world that we live in. Like, can you know, we talked about our phones, but
Yeah.
can you wait a week to watch another show?
No.
No, you binge watch on that.
Well,
Yes.
Everything is so quick.
Yeah.
You can't stop.
I did see a link between the last book we read and this. I think it's chapter 6. Well, the chapter about ADHD
Yep.
and anxiety.
Yep.
What is that?
Chapter
6?
6, yeah.
Where he talks about internet and
Yeah.
the age that we live in, and the gazillion messages we receive a day, and how it's affecting us. So, yeah.
You know, the one of the best parts about this book that I'm gonna take away from is how you can train your mind to avoid any of these issues that he's talking about.
Yeah,
Like,
certain fear triggers type of thing.
So basically, the connection between the neurons.
Yeah.
When the first.
Did you learn
connection
about all parts of the brain?
Yeah, but like
were supposed to do
very
that.
scientific. But I did learn one thing, and one thing is the connection between the neurons. So basically, it comes through like a tube, and then it connects to another
Thingy.
tube, right? I can't remember the scientific names, but that connection right there, okay, the physical to the chemical connection.
The synapses.
Yes, the synapses, right? So the synapses becomes more seamless the more you do the activity.
Right.
Right? It's like when when you first start working out, you bench press 25 pounds, and now I'm like, I think 570 pounds. so it's so seamless. It's easy for my brain now, and I'm putting this pressure and this stress on my body that my body can handle it, and it helps with anxiety because my body can handle those types of feelings that mimic the feeling of stressing your body.
Yeah.
So your brain is used to it, and so it makes that connection so much easier.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I once heard it put plainly into a good analogy. If you want to understand habits, try imagining a mountain that has flat sides, and you drop water on the top of the mountain. at first, the water will go on each side, north, south, west, east. But eventually that water will start carving a channel down the mountain.
Yeah.
And the deeper that channel goes, the more likely it is that that water will go down that channel.
Wow.
So every time you start a new habit, the more you repeat it, the more likely it is that you will continue with that habit.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I find gyms like Greco, Lean and Fit, that have a set schedule for classes so powerful. For those of you that aren't from Ottawa, you don't know what Greco is, but they're essentially we'll call it like a CrossFit gym. They have set time for classes, and you can only go to the gym during those hours. And I found that was so beneficial for me creating that habit of going to the gym, because it wasn't like, oh, I'll go at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And then 6 p.m. rolls around, well, I'm just gaming a bit more, well, I'll go at 7, and then, oh, your friend calls you up.
You game at 6 in the morning?
6 p.m., sorry.
Okay. I was going to say you have a problem, my friend.
Sorry. And then you just don't end up going. But when you have a set time for it, you end up going.
Yeah, set your schedule around their time.
Yeah.
Make it fit somewhere in your schedule.
That was one way that I did successfully get into a habit of going to the gym. Now I don't need it as much, but it definitely helped.
Well, and if you don't make it in at that time, you miss the class.
Yeah, so you just have to make
You
it.
have to,
You have to make it happen.
That's true.
Could work both ways. For me, that's the way, it worked.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's the way I got into a habit.
And how do you help somebody with ADHDs? You have to structure a schedule for them so they don't forget. And the more the structure, the better it is. And it's mentioned in this book how structure is so important, and Greco sort of ties into that because it's so structured. Like it's from 6 to 6:45 in the morning. This is what you do at 6. This is what you do at 6:05. This is what you do at 6:10. This is what you do at 6:15.
Yeah.
And you were looking great when you were doing Greco. Are you still doing it?
I knew he was going there. Yes, I still do it. Anyways, dick comment. But and he does talk about martial arts, how they have structure, right?
Yeah.
And how kids with ADHD are doing much better with that sort of structure in their lives. But he also talks about whatever it is you do, whether it's ballet or dance or just get out there, get active, and it does help kids with ADHD manage it better. It just,
When I was coaching football, we had about 30 kids. 11 of the 30 kids had ADHD, okay? And about half of them were on pills. And a lot of the parents would come up to me and tell me, hey, listen, this is the situation with my child. And had they not told me this, I would not have known that they have ADHD, okay? Because when I run my football practices, everything is so structured. They get there for 6 o'clock. They run 2 laps. 6:05, we start stretching. By 6:15, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
So they never get bored because there's always something going on. Now, whenever you put them in a position that they simply don't like and they don't want to learn because they don't have the motivation to learn this position they don't like, then they'll get the symptoms again. So you put them in a position that they might like.
yeah,
Right?
makes sense.
And maybe that's what's happening in schools. It's like maybe they just don't like the subject and they have to learn it and they're uninterested in it.
Well, it's not maybe. I think it's clear that that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Schools cater to a very specific personality type, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't really.
It's flawed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if there's so many cases of ADHD, maybe our brain is starting now to adapt to today's world where school systems have to adapt to that as well. We were talking about earlier how we're still our brains are still structured in a way that we should be hunting and fucking running after tigers and stuff. Tigers, whatever.
Running from tigers?
Running from... No, chasing tigers.
Oh, my God.
So maybe... Yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this, but... I think it's just our brains just evolving, right? And what we call ADHD is just us trying to capture everything that's going on at the same time.
I think that... when we end up being in a situation like a classroom situation, it's so slow for us because we're used to, checking 10 emails at once and then multitasking and making things happen.
Right.
That the conventional classroom is
Too slow.
It's underwhelming,
It is.
Yeah.
right? and it's not motivating us. And I imagine that children go through the same thing. Right?
You know, children like to play outside,
Yeah.
but it's up to the parents to let them play outside. Like, it's because it takes effort on the parents to take their children outside, man. Like, you know, and after a long day of work, you know, most people could get home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Their kid wants to play outside. It's like, I have to make dinner. There's a lot of things I need to do, and so they're stuck inside. And guess what? They're watching shows. The responsibility is on both ends. If you don't want ADHD, I think there's things you can do to try to prevent it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm no doctor, but Dr. Ratey says so.
Ratey.
Ratey, is that it?
So,
Let's
the
talk
very beginning of where we were supposed to start, chapter 4, was it?
Yep.
Chapter on anxiety. He talks about Amy, who's in court, you know, to win custody over her kids. You guys remember that story
Yes.
a little bit? So that was pretty interesting. How
Her husband was divorcing her.
yeah, and she's just going through a rough patch and just couldn't cope with anything. And Mr. Ratey, where was it? Yeah, Mr. Ratey.
Ratouille.
Ratui. I like that one. Just told her, you know, maybe get some exercise in, and she started coping with all that a lot better. And I think in the end she did get off Prozac, right?
Yeah, she
Is that
dropped the Prozac, and
it? Started running
our
more.
author was able to destroy the lawyer in court,
Yeah.
saying that dropping
Oh,
Prozac
right.
isn't damaging.
Yeah, so he
if
told
you
her to
exercise.
stop Prozac and
Yeah.
exercise more, and the judge asked Mr. Ratey, why did you say it was okay to get off? And he said, well, just do more exercise. And the proof was
Studies
there,
have
yeah.
shown.
Yeah.
Similar effects, yeah.
But her husband's lawyer was going after that like crazy,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
saying, "Oh, you told your client to stop medication. She needs."
Yeah.
Well, she's actually on another medication, which is
Yeah.
physical fitness or just physical exercise.
Aerobics.
But
Yeah,
it sounds-
aerobics does the same thing as Prozac, right?
It sounds
Boosts the,
sounds woo woo, eh?
It sounds simple.
Yeah, it sounds like okay, yeah, he's got good energy, or it sounds like
Yeah.
like a crystal diamond solution, or like salt lamps, or
Yeah, but
it's
it's real, man. Because
I
like,
know it's
when
real.
I work out, I feel great, and I feel great for the entire day. Like, I'm less anxious, I'm less stressed.
but people are so skeptical to exercise as a solution.
Yeah.
because it's hard.
And that's one thing that I've noticed in this book is that us, all four of us, we all go to the gym.
I still go to the gym, Rami.
And
It shows.
and
It's
we
okay.
and we know this stuff for a fact, what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But somebody who might not have gone to the gym in the last year and a half might read this book and have a total like epiphany and be like, holy shit, you know, just walking 20 minutes every morning makes a big
Well,
difference.
every case he talks about in this book is pretty much like that. It's like
Yeah.
they're at a certain age, they hit 30, and they all of a sudden realize, hey, I used to be active, and
La
I used to
trentaine,
cope with
la
the
bedaine.
world, life a little bit better. And then this guy starts running, and he's doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the happiest people in the world are always more fit.
Yeah.
You know, like they're just more fit. Like they're, you know, they work out, they do things, they're active, they play sports.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're in a sports team and you're playing sports, you're sort of hanging out with the guys a little bit. You're joking around. It's fun.
Yeah.
I always found gym owners and, you know, guys and girls that are into the fitness scene, they always have like a new idea coming up, or they're always, you know, more pumped about business in general than most small restaurant owners or most realtors or, you know, most accountants, like, because they're always like stimulated on a physical level. So, you know, the old phrase, it gets the juices flowing. They're experiencing that on the daily, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
true actually.
yeah.
I do see that too sometimes.
By most gym owners and fitness, people that run in the fitness industry.
Yeah, like people like what do you call like fitness? What do you call them, man? The trainers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
fitness trainers. You know, like they none of them do that for a living though. Some of them do, but none of them really do it for a living. They always have another full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just that training that they do with other people, like if they have 3-4 people at the same time, or
Helps
throughout
with
the day,
their
it
focus.
helps with their focus. So it's probably better. They're probably better at their jobs.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt that they look fantastic.
No.
Yeah, that helps.
And when did you ever see a bodyguard, you know, a lifeguard sitting on the side of the pool that wasn't smiling? They're always smiling, these guys, man.
Fuck, I would be also.
Yeah.
You know, they're always like fit, sitting tanned, you know, flirting.
What was that show?
Flirting with the
Younger?
lifeguard across.
Baywatch?
Baywatch. They always looked happy, right?
Did you
There's a
guys see
reason
the new
why.
Baywatch?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
With The Rock.
Pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
And what was that kid? Zach?
Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad movie.
It's okay.
Baywatch was good back in the day, though.
Sure, Jumanji.
What's that guy's name again? Curly hair.
Tall, like the older guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack Black.
No. No, they call him the something.
The Hoff.
The Hoff.
Hoffman, yeah.
Hoffman. David Hoffman.
David
Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff. That's what
David
it is.
Hasselhoff. Yeah. He's a
Hoffman's
shit.
another actor. That's
Yeah.
not a buddy.
Yeah, he was a cutie.
He's a cutie. One thing that I found pretty cool, the part where he talks about beta blockers. I had to write it down what that does there. So it calms down the sympathetic nervous system. Yeah, so it breaks the anxiety feedback loop to the brain that otherwise keeps the amygdala on alert. So the fight or flight. That's what does fight or flight, the amygdala. So, yeah, when he talks about beta blockers, so if you're starting to get nervous or like, get nervous, you can take these beta blockers, which stops that cycle and just calms the nerves down. And he's talking about classical musicians who take this to prevent them from being super nervous and start sweating. So I found that was pretty cool. I don't know where you get beta blockers, but I need me some beta blockers.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, if you're about to give a big speech and, you're super nervous, you take a few beta blockers and you're just out there fucking ripping through
But you
it.
won't need to, man. It says exercise impacts the same pathways as these medications.
Yeah. But are you
Puts
gonna
the safety on both triggers. You're gonna do what? Just do 20 push-ups right before your speech.
And then you go on stage, you're sweating like hell, and this is saying that it prevents them from sweating and tensing up.
Yeah. Does it cause erectile dysfunction?
No, those are
Is it,
SSRIs.
Oh, okay. It's the other one.
Yeah, he does say exercise does the same thing, but like
It
what are you gonna do,
causes
like, give your
ED?
speech on a treadmill. Not a bad idea.
So on that point, you guys know that I have a hard time getting in front of crowds, right? When we talk about doing stand-up stuff like that, it
I had no
freaks
idea.
freaks me out. And we've talked about
Sure
this.
as hell like doing it though.
Doing what?
Doing that, talking in front of people.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not something that you don't like. You've been doing it.
I enjoy it, but it wrecks. Like it makes me feel nervous. And about a month ago, I joined the Toastmasters Club.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm doing to get to the Toastmasters Club is I'm walking about 8 kilometers from home. And it's been funny to see the way that I feel when I need to get up and deliver a speech at Toastmasters. It's like there's nothing that bothers me. And I wonder if there's a correlation between, walking, that exercise for, probably an hour and a half of walking, and then getting up and needing to do a speech.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And walking's meditative, too.
Yeah.
Like it's,
So,
Yeah. Do you listen to music on your way there, or do you?
So I try not to on my way there because we just finished reading Digital Minimalism, and I try to spend time with my thoughts.
Yeah.
But on my way back, I might put on an audiobook or some tunes.
Okay.
Listens to some hardcore stuff on the way back. I can't deal with my own thoughts.
Fear is the memory of danger.
Yeah.
That
It's
was-
engraved in our
Yeah.
what do you call that?
That's deep, eh?
DNA.
Fear is the memory of danger, and it is engraved in our DNA. And if you don't, and I think when you feel anxiety, it's very similar to I don't know, like it's very similar to, like you're scared. That's what anxiety is, right?
Mhm.
So I think if you by exercising, what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to sort of clear those pathways
Yeah.
that you would feel if you were anxious.
Yeah. What do you call fear of open spaces?
Aragophobia?
Arachnophobia?
No, that's for
Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia?
Yeah.
Arachnophobia is for spiders.
No, it's a G. I put a G in there. Arachnophobia.
Yeah, so he says it right here. He says it right. Exercise gives neurons everything they need to connect, and if we direct that process, we can have a huge impact on teaching the brain to cope with the fear.
Right. So the reason why I'm asking about the open spaces is that one doctor, I wrote it down somewhere, but anyways, is teaching patients who have fear of open spaces to, whenever they start feeling anxious about being in this wide open parking lot, to like run towards the fear and walk towards safety. Do you remember that part? So he gets them to start off in the parking lot and walk towards the door, and then run back or something like that. Like,
Yeah. If
so
they get
he's just
scared.
saying, like, you can train your brain to think differently. Whenever you start hyperventilating, just like
Yeah,
take a step back and you can practice.
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. I might have skipped some details in there, but read the goddamn book.
Well, that's the thing. There's so much scientific information in here that's really hard to understand everything.
Yeah.
Was there any new words that you guys learned in these past 4 chapters?
Beta blockers.
Sertraline.
What about neurogenesis? That was an interesting one for me.
That sounds like a Sega game.
So I'm gonna go ahead and read a small paragraph here that describes what neurogenesis is,
Okay.
and I find it fascinating because 25 years ago, scientists believed that once your neurons were fried, they were fried, right? And turns out it's not the
Couldn't
case.
rebuild brain cells. Yeah.
So neurogenesis is the process of stem cells dividing and developing into functional new brain cells, or neurons, in the brain. That this happens in the adult human was firmly established in 1998, and it is believed to be confined to part of the hippocampus and another brain area called the subventricular zone, which is associated with the sense of smell. So see also stem cells for more information. So the fact that you can stimulate your hippocampus to generate new neurons is it's fascinating, right? I mean, there's never anybody that doesn't have new options to them. So if you're out there, you're working out, you're pushing yourselves to do new things, your brain will create new cells. Yeah. I wonder if it's like that for other organs in the body, like the liver.
That I often wonder, actually. Every time I think I destroyed it, it bounces back up.
Oh, yeah.
More!
But yeah, the liver, yeah. In the early 20s, it bounces back like a rubber ball. Now it's bouncing back like a wooden
Stick.
yeah.
Well, I know the way the liver works is the more damage you do to it, it bounces back, but you now have scarring on it.
So
So the more you do it, eventually, if you have too much scarring, then you'll have liver cirrhosis.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
That's a good word.
Yeah, but how much
Liver.
it's cirrhosis of the liver.
Cirrhosis.
Yeah.
La cirrhose du foie.
Tabarnak.
But
Yeah.
how much do you drink? Like it doesn't.
It's not. It could be medication as well. It's very damaging to the liver.
Are you asking me?
A lot. More than well, for me, more than most.
Okay.
Not often.
You drink every day?
No.
A
So
weekend drinker.
We're the weekend warriors, big time.
Like you drink a lot on the weekends, just get completely smashed.
Once every 2 weeks, we'll go out and we'll
Blackout.
stay out till not blackout, but stay out till like 2 or 3. Close the bar.
Blackout.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I've been there before. Not as much as you grow up,
Yeah.
but staying out past 2, 3, it's common. And I wonder if there's going to be like neurogenesis of the liver down the road.
You would hope so.
I would hope so.
I think that's what stem cells do now.
Yeah.
Stem cell research is it helps regenerate quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I see you're at the depression chapter. One thing that stood out in that chapter to me is that people with depression, is it their, I should have written this down, but is it their amygdalas that is shrunken by 15%?
Now you're talking another very scientific
Yeah.
term.
Shit, I thought I wrote it down.
You know,
Oh, yeah. So here we go. So in 1996, that's on page 128. I don't know if you can. Yeah, it's in that chapter 128. In 1996, Yvette Shaline at Washington U. Why are you laughing?
Because you said
1996. Yeah, I know. 1996. Compared 10 patients with depression and 10 healthy patients, and the ones that were depressed had 15% smaller hippocampus. So the brain is elastic, and you can train it to become bigger. So this just proves it as well. So if you're sick, or not sick, but depressed, your hippocampus is shrunken.
It's actually unbelievable how amazing the brain is. Like, we probably still don't know. Like, they probably have questions that don't even think about yet, right? Like, there's so many things going on with the brain. It says here, I don't know if this relates to what you're saying. So there's opiate receptors in the brain, meaning the body had a built-in way of killing pain with molecules that worked like morphine. So maybe that's a way that they.
That's how they describe runner's high too, right?
And then endorphins, as they become known, dulled pain in the body and produced euphoria in the mind. When elevated levels of endorphins were detected in the in the blood samples of a group of runners, everything seemed to fit. You're right. It's about runners.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever experienced that?
Runner's high? I remember once.
1996.
1996.
So does that mean the more you run, the more you enlarge your hypo?
I've experienced.
Just it numbs the pain. So I know in there.
I definitely experienced it once. I guess I was probably 27, 28.
1996.
And I went out for a 10K. It was the first time I ever done a 10K. And I remember sitting down after it, and it was like, holy fuck. There's nothing wrong with my life.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I worry at all? Why do I even have memories of worrying about anything?
Sounds like you smoked a joint.
Yeah.
Sounds like it, yeah.
I think you did.
I feel like
1996.
every time I have like a good, like, heavy weightlifting session,
Yeah.
I feel like that every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, bad stuff could
a whole
happen.
Buzz, yeah.
Like, I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I know they talked about a certain person in the book that was running and busted their knee and didn't feel it until they finished a race.
Right.
But they couldn't walk on their leg anymore after.
Well,
But
it's the same
didn't feel it
thing.
while running.
It's the same thing for, like, so my second life there. We do, like, a lot of law enforcement training. We do simulations with, like, it's called ammo, like simulation ammo. And it's, they're soap tips, and we get shot with them, and they still really hurt. But if you're in, like, a pretty hardcore scenario, because we make them as realistic as possible, you don't know you've been shot.
Yeah.
You have no idea, because they're just so drilled down into that moment with adrenaline that...
There's people in the military that have stories of, you know, getting
they get,
significant injuries and not even noticing after the battle's over.
Yeah.
I've even heard one of a guy losing a testicle.
Jumped over a barbed wire.
You've heard that one too?
Yeah, that's Where did we hear the story?
I don't know if it's him. I think it's a story about Hitler. When in the First World War, he lost an intestine.
I think you're
Maybe
right.
that's why he was so angry.
Yeah, it's just not enough hormone.
Well, what about when you get into a car accident?
Yeah,
you normally don't feel the pain until later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
But wasn't there a hockey player that, like, broke his leg or something like that but continued playing? Stamkos. Was it Stamkos?
I think that
A lot of
happened
stories
often,
like that.
Yeah.
Like Iserman
My
was
dad
playing.
did that probably.
Yeah,
I'm in the 72s, mon gars.
Yeah, that's my dad. Fuck, he played with both legs dislocated and fucking shoulder popped out.
I know Stevie Iserman played with one knee in his last Stanley Cup.
It's playing around with one knee.
No, his knee was is not very functional at all.
I've seen some sports clips where, like, you could see something's inherently wrong with someone, and they're just like, they're too focused to notice, and you can see, like, their legs like all crooked.
Remember that bloody sock?
Bloody sock.
It was that pitcher for
his ankle.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was whatever.
What was that?
Yeah. He had like a compound fracture.
I think it was for the Red Sox.
I think that's why they're called the Red Sox.
No. This was like in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Bloody Sock. Is
The
that his
Bloody
nickname now? Bloody Sock Baggins?
So we talked about
Bit.
we talked about
We're not done
depression.
talking about the Bloody Sock yet.
We talked about depression. We talked about anxiety.
I'm
We
depressed
talked
for not
about
talking about the
attention
bloody sock.
deficit. Last week we talked about addiction, but there was an entire chapter on addiction this time around. What did you guys think about it?
My initial
You didn't read it,
thought-
did you?
No, I didn't get there yet.
My initial thought on the effects of physical activity on addiction, it was like, well, duh, obviously it's going to help with addiction.
I felt like this since I first started reading the book.
Because, I mean, if I'm giving myself a fitness goal, I obviously won't go out drinking.
Hmm.
They're
Well,
like,
he's
they're like,
talking about how if you have ADHD, you're gonna seek out or stimulants help you, right?
yeah.
But like with a lot of things we're seeing with problems with drug addiction these days, is people are self-medicating. So now you're seeing like you're like a cigarette is a stimulant, coffee's a stimulant, cocaine's a stimulant. So if you're undiagnosed ADHD, well, you're gonna find that doing cocaine probably helps you a little bit. So you're more predisposed to getting addicted.
And if you're doing exercise, you're sort of
It's
receiving.
also a stimulant.
Yeah. They did say that cocaine will boost your dopamine production 300 to 800%.
And he said that people lack dopamine if they have ADHD or depression.
And sex will also boost it 150 to 300%.
There you
So
go.
that's why some people get addicted to
No.
la sexy time.
But what about addiction to things like porn? That's not a stimulant.
I think it's a sex addiction.
It's a sex thing, yeah.
So would exercise help with that?
I think so.
Or what if somebody's addicted to like watching?
Based on more than half of the book that we read there, I'm sure
Exercise.
it helps everything. Exercise helps everything.
But
That's the moral of the story here.
Exercise makes bacon better.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Well, I think
it does.
That's
yeah.
what I pretty much got from the book too. It does actually
Yeah.
help you with everything.
Yeah.
Like exercise, it is a necessary part of your life.
I'm not liking this book so much. It's very redundant, and it's very. I know it's not time to give my how many bacons out of 5 bacons mark yet, but yeah, I'm not liking this book so much.
I think it's a good book. It's just for us it's sort of, I think we knew most of this stuff.
Well,
We've experienced
yeah.
most of this stuff.
I mean, he does warn us that it's about the science of exercise and the brain.
And it's got big words, and I promise you this, if you picked up this book and you're not a trained medical doctor, you will learn.
Yeah, you definitely learn
some
something.
new stuff.
It's not a horrible book. It's
No,
just it's.
I learned a lot of new stuff, but I think it's definitely something I can refer to.
Is there any new habits that you would like to put in place after reading this book?
So I think running would be a new habit I want to start. I want to start running. I want to start walking, and I want to start biking.
Yeah.
But that's just because I mean, and a lot of books mention those, but I've never done that. Like I've never run consistently. Normally, I just go to the gym and do strength training.
Yeah. If one
It's
thing
never
to,
about aerobics.
yeah. If one thing, I'll try to do important stuff in my day after a workout.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Mine is.
But I
always-
just didn't know things like exercise will help with ADHD. I didn't know things like exercise will help with addiction, or I knew about the anxiety and the depression.
Yeah.
But when it comes to ADHD and addiction, it's sort of like, man, it's really cool how impactful it could be.
Mm-hmm. I've seen people I know personally trade in drugs for exercise and go all out.
well, it's been proven to help kick smoking
Yeah.
addiction. is
Yeah,
exercise.
absolutely. So
Really?
just keep the mind busy and the body active, and it helps everything.
I think
Even bacon tastes better.
just like Rami, I I go to the gym quite often, but it's rare that I'll maintain a high heartbeat for like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah.
I usually have the type of workout where I'm like pushing super hard for like 45 seconds, and then I'll back off.
So what's your rest period then between sets?
So like this morning I was doing a spinning class, and usually I try to like go through a cycle and then just peak all the way at the end. But now, you know, when I know I've got 5 minutes left to that set, I'll just go like not full hog, but like very close, so my heartbeat's at like 85 to 90% of its max, and then I'll be able to, you know, get that 10 minute of max heart rate for one workout.
Yeah.
And I did it this morning, and then after I read the final 40 pages for my week, and I found that information was going in a lot smoother. Yeah.
I think if one thing we did learn from this book is that one thing that it will for sure do is motivate us to make sure to exercise every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it really affirms that.
Yeah.
You know? And even if you're not exercising, at least do something for 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like go for a walk.
Something important that I remember reading, the smile test. I don't know if you guys remember going through that, where they test a certain amount of people that are taking Zoloft, they're depressed, and then the other half, they're divided into 3 groups. So the Zoloft group, the exercise group, and then the Zoloft and exercise group.
Yep.
And then they prove that exercise will, in long term, prove to be better than the ones that are on medicated and also doing exercise.
Okay.
Because the people that fought depression doing exercise only have this pride in them that says, well, I beat my depression by doing exercise. And the ones that are on Zoloft and do exercise, they tend to stop doing exercise because they say, well, I'm feeling better because it's probably because I'm on Zoloft. It's hard to tell if it's exercise. So they're not as motivated to keep going. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. So exercise is proven to be better in the long run.
Some of them were upset because they didn't know they were getting Zoloft and exercise. Something
Exactly.
like that, right?
Some of them dropped out, but what I found pretty cool, so they said Zoloft blamed medication for improvement. So the people that are on Zoloft, they blamed the medication for the improvement, not the exercise.
Okay.
So, yeah.
This book is not anti-SSRI.
No, exactly. He is a doctor after all, and he does prescribe.
He does prescribe, you know.
But he's just...
side effects.
I sort of skipped to the back a little bit just to see how it ends or whatever. And he just... he says that he hopes that this book will push more doctors into prescribing more exercise.
Yeah.
What does SSRI stand for?
I wrote
It's
that down.
serotonin something receptor.
Selective
inhibitors.
serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
What
So like
the
Zoloft.
heck? And Prozac.
And Prozac.
And Ritalin.
Yeah.
And Adderall.
I want to start going on Adderall.
A lot of very
I wanna
successful
smoke more
people
weed.
are on Adderall.
Yeah.
But there's
I have a story about that actually. I'll tell you. I'll tell you to you after.
Of smoking weed?
Yeah.
Or Adderall?
Both together. Smoking Adderall.
Rami, the person who's judging my drinking, wants to tell us a story off air.
See, I gotta say though, I really found that I know you weren't a huge fan of this book, but what I did find is it did contextualize and provide a lot of anecdotal evidence for things that I've experienced, especially during my time in university when I was.
Right.
So that was like a very intensive mental period for me.
Yeah.
And exercising during that time really showed the effects, like how powerful it can be.
Yeah.
Because if you're just on a day-to-day basis, you can get away with doing a lot less exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're really pushing yourself to the limit mentally, I think that exercise is 100% not just going to be good for you performing, but for actually staying sane.
Yeah.
You
Makes
know?
sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you were saying this
For
morning.
sure.
It's a little bit, maybe it's redundant to us because we do exercise. For someone that doesn't and reads this, then they might say, maybe I should exercise.
Maybe somebody's experiencing depression, or somebody's experiencing anxiety, and their doctor's not recommending them to exercise.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Because normally when you get hurt and you get depressed, they tell you just don't exercise, like not
take
rest.
it easy.
Take it easy, right? Just take it easy.
Do as
don't
little
watch
as possible.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's counterproductive.
And I've told people in the past that tell me that they're feeling blue, and I've told them, hey, why don't you go and try out the gym, for a bit.
Yeah.
And they've always said, yeah, it sounds good. But now I know for a fact that when I say that, it's real advice, that a doctor should be giving more often.
Yeah. Well, actually, interestingly enough, when I was in university, my dad passed away, and I was going through a rough period. And
Sorry
I
to hear
went
that.
to my doctor. Oh, it's a long time ago. Thank you though. And I had a family doctor at the time. She was like super old. She'd come in the office with a walker.
No way.
Like this old Jewish lady. And I went in and I was like, listen, I'm going through a rough patch. I was like, I can't handle this anymore. Yeah. And I was like, is there anything you can give me to help me out? And she literally said to me, she's a super old lady. She's like, get the fuck out of here. She's like, go work out. You'll feel better.
Get your tuchus out of here.
I was like, all right.
Slapped you.
Yeah. And it worked. It worked great.
With her walker.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Good
Cool.
stuff.
How did you guys enjoy the stream? Were you self-conscious about it?
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love you guys.
I love you too, man.
Maybe we should stream game of charades or something.
Maybe we'll do
People
that. That'd be cool.
Or a thumb war tournament.
A rock, paper, scissors tournament.
Yeah.
Apparently there's
No.
some skill in that.
Yeah, that was on
Digital minimalism.
Yeah, minimalism.
Minimalism.
Go- yeah, so I know I'm being pretty rough on this book. It's not as fun to read as the other one.
It's okay,
No,
man.
it's
It's not. You don't have to be romantic all the time.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been hungry and look at these bacon strips?
Yes.
All the time.
They
Every
do
time.
look
My
very
my
appetizing.
my bacon consumption has increased substantially.
It has, actually.
Yeah.
If you guys would like one of these bacon bookmarks, all you need to do is comment on the video, I want bacon, and we will ship this to you for free.
For free?
I want bacon.
You can't have one.
Aye.
You've already got one.
I got one.
Cool. C'est bon, les amis. See you next time.
Ben fun.